Greetings, my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy and welcome back. Today I'm going to be making some cookies that were suggested to me by Charlie in my How to Eat a Sunflower Head video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put the link down below. I show you how I cooked a giant sunflower head that I grew and cooked it and just ate it like corn on the cob. Charlie left me a comment in that video, and Lily got in touch with me via Twitter to tell me about a cookie that changes color when you bake it. It is made with Sunbutter. It's an alternative for those that can't have peanut butter or almond butter. It is made out of ground up sunflower seeds. So according to the Sunbutter website, the Sunbutter contains chlorophyll, also known as chlorogenic acid. Never knew it was called that. The acid reacts with the baking powder or the baking soda added in the cookie recipe, and once the cookies completely cool, they're supposed to turn a vivid green, like St. Patrick's Day green, like green. What? So here I am to make the cookies for you today. I'm going to be using two separate recipes because I really want these to turn green. So big thanks to both Charlie and Lily for suggesting this recipe and the over 700 other lovelies that liked Charlie's comment so that I knew that I had to make this recipe, besides my own curiosity of does this really turn green? Alrighty, let's do this. So the first recipe I'm going to be making comes from a blog. Guess my oven is preheated. As I was saying, my first recipe comes from a blog called Real Food with Jessica, and I'll put a link down below to her original recipe. So this recipe also happens to be keto friendly. There's no flour or sugar in it. Sunflower butter, and we need 1 cup of this. I've actually never had sun butter, have you? My brother-in-law uses it a lot because he has a nut allergy. Let's taste it. I would say that's a great peanut butter substitute. Of course it tastes like sunflower seeds, but it's got that really lovely creamy texture that I associate with peanut butter. And between these two recipes, I'm going to be using pretty much this entire jar. So bloop, you just push this and it all comes out cleanly. Just squeegees the sides of the measuring cup. So nice. It does have one drawback though. It does get a bit top heavy and tall, so it does like to tip over. So that's kind of annoying. It also is handy for things like this. I can measure out a 1/2 cup of maple syrup in the same cup. And this can convert from dry and liquid measure, which is great. So dump that in and then you can push it and then it gets it all off the sides. Whoa. Oops. I'm gonna give that a mix. This is my Danish whisk. I quite like it for thick batters. So mix well. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Boop, boop. Next, we're gonna add 6 tablespoons of coconut flour. I've never used coconut flour before. Smells like coconut. And 6. But what's it taste like? Is it sweet? Not really. Has a really strong flavor of coconut. Nice. All right, that's it. That's our dough. We're gonna mix this up. Now this recipe says you can add mini chocolate chips if you like, but since I wanna compare recipes, I'm omitting the chocolate, sadly enough. I want both recipes to have an equal opportunity to sway my opinion. So I'm not going to add the chocolate to this recipe. And scoop out balls of dough. Who knew that chlorophyll was also known as chlorogenic acid? I mean, I know many of you knew that, but I didn't know that. That's cool. It's an acid. What? It's an acid. Oh, I want to put another one right there. So I'm gonna try to shift these over nicely and neatly as possible. I think as I'm getting older, I'm coming to the realization, the more I'm comfortable with uncomfortableness, the better I feel, and the better I'm ready to roll with things. And if it's really uncomfortable and I'm unhappy about it, do something about it, right? Take some action. And when I say discomfort or uncomfortableness, it's my own discomfort. Like, oh, I feel awkward. Oh, I feel strange. It's like, oh, I feel awkward. I feel strange. Okay, let's really get into this. Let's get, why do I feel awkward? And is it okay to feel awkward? Yes, always. And what's wrong with awkward? Not a whole lot. That's just me, right? And I love myself, so that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Just be yourself. Love yourself. You are unique. You have your own character. You are special. You are quirky, and that makes you you. If you were like everybody else, then how would you be yourself? You wouldn't. So I'm giving these a little bit of a flatten, and then I'm going to bake these in a 350-degree oven for 8 minutes. Now we're going to do recipe number 2, and this one was sent to me by Lily, and it comes from the Charlie Foundation, and I will put the link to the original recipe down below. To begin, we're going to use some more Sunbutter, this time 3/4 of a cup. Bloop. 1 large egg. I've adapted this recipe. The original recipe actually calls for coconut oil, but I'm out, so I'm using butter instead. Pinch of salt, 1 gram or 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 gram or 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. For the sweetener, this recipe calls for Truvia. I'm going to be substituting sugar. This is 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of white sugar, and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Beep. Make 1 tablespoon ball. So this dough is a little bit more rollable. As a kid, I never really made cookies at home. I did spend time with my mom in the kitchen. We just never did much baking. In fact, when my parents moved from our old house, the oven was pristine. Never used it once. We did have an oven out in the garage, which we used for baking frozen pizzas and stuff. But the one inside, we used it for storage. So 1 direction and then turn 90 degrees to make a little basket weave. Cute. I've never been a huge fan of peanut butter cookies. I think it's just because it's peanut butter. Although when I was pregnant, I so craved peanut butter. I would eat it by the spoonful. I also craved milk. Those are my 2 cravings. Peanut butter out of the jar on a spoon and a glass of whole milk. Crazy, right? 2 things I don't like in my normal world. My baby apparently liked. My baby's not a baby anymore. Oh my gosh. He's a beautiful kid. Now we're going to bake these for 7 to 9 minutes until they are cooked. Same temperature, 350 degrees. So while the second batch of Sunbutter cookies are baking, let's try the first batch, which I've taken out of the oven. These turned out so stinking cute. Look how perfect they look. They look just like peanut butter cookies, a little bit cracked on the top, a little bit gold, and just a little bit on the sides. On the top, that's how they look underneath. And perfect little size cookie for me. So let's look at them while they're warm. Oh, they're already green! Look, lovelies, they're already green inside. Yes, they totally turned green. I was told that you're supposed to allow these to cool completely before they turn green, but these, my friends, turn green right away. Beautiful, look at that. Yes. Science is so cool. I love that. What a beautiful color. On the outside, you're like, oh, peanut butter cookies. No, actually, they're Sunbutter. And you open them up and you're like, what butter? Incredible Hulk butter? Here we go, down the hatch. Itadakimasu. Initially, they're very similar to a peanut butter cookie. Very strong and nutty. But then you get going on it and you're like, nope, that's definitely not a peanut butter cookie. And then the coconut flavor comes in. That little bit of coconut flour actually gives it very coconutty flavor. I would say almost as strong as the Sunbutter. The Sunbutter is very pleasant. It's very similar to peanut butter, but it has that slight almost kind of resinous flavor to it that makes it distinctive from peanuts. Peanuts have that really strong, nutty, toasted flavor, which Sunbutter has as well, but there's something a little bit different about sunflowers because they're sunflowers. To me, it's a little bit piney, or a little bit hoppy, kind of like an IPA, that little bit of, not bitterness, but it's almost like a pine or cedar kind of flavor to it. Just a touch. The texture is lovely. They're almost cakey in the middle, a nice little kind of cookie texture on the outside. These are pretty lightly sweetened for a cookie. I've had banana breads that are sweeter than these. but it's pleasant. It's really nice. I would say these are like a Sunbutter coconut cookie. The coconut flavor is pretty pronounced, but it goes nicely with the richness of the Sunbutter. And they turn green. Green. Love it. Love it. I love it when a plan comes together. So I've let the second batch of cookies cool off a bit. They're still warm. Let's see if these ones turn green as well. All right, here we go. Look, they're not green. These are actually warmer than the last ones. They're still warm, but they're not green yet. We'll check back on them in about 5 minutes to see when they've kind of cooled to room temperature if they turn green. Ha! At least I got the satisfaction of the first ones right away. All right, let's give these things a taste. Here we go. Itadakimasu. These ones have a completely different texture. They're crumblier. And much lighter in terms of sweetness. The first ones were not very sweet, but these are hardly sweet at all. I can definitely taste the Sunbutter, but no taste of coconut. But of course, if I used the coconut oil that was suggested in the recipe, it would probably have a bit of a coconut flavor. I don't taste much of the vanilla though. These have a little bit of a sandy texture that I kind of associate with peanut butter cookies. So of the two recipes, I prefer the first one. I like the additional sweetness. I also like the coconut flavor. I also preferred the first recipe's texture. It was more cookie-like, a little bit more tender, had a little bit of chew to it. Also, the second recipe has not turned green yet. I'm gonna let these cool completely, and then I'll break it open and see if we get the satisfaction of the green. But we definitely got it from the first recipe. So my lovelies, we have confirmed it. Yes, there is a chemical reaction that happens between the chlorophyll naturally found in the Sunbutter with the baking soda or baking powder, which is a base, and it creates a beautiful green color like this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So confirmed. If you have a peanut allergy, if you are following a keto diet, then this might be the cookie recipe for you. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care. Bye.